I've been living in an awful Canadian hell for the last 3 years, so I'm going to use the next 3 minutes to try to explain it. And I'm going to talk very fast. I moved from a city called Edmonton. It's the second biggest city in my province, but it's smaller than Toronto. It's not a ginormous city, but it is definitely a city. And I went from homeless there to meeting the love of my life, and we got married, and having a second kid, we decided we were going to move to a smaller town called Westlock, Alberta. It has one hospital. It doesn't have a Burger King. It doesn't have a Costco. It doesn't have a Walmart. It is very small. So when we moved here, we were hoping that we'd have small issues. However, I couldn't find a doctor until somebody reached out to me, and I said, oh, absolutely, I'd love to, I'll take you as a doctor. Turns out that wasn't a real doctor. She didn't have a license to be a doctor, but she did all of the vaginal exams. She even circumcised my son and delivered him at the hospital, but she was not legally allowed to because she had her license revoked for something she'd already done. So after I gave birth to my son in this house, I bled for 9 months straight, every single day in pain. And I went to the hospital in Canada twice because, you know, free healthcare. But at the hospital, they can't legally tell you what your results are, and your doctor has to tell you. But because she wasn't a real doctor, she couldn't actually see any results, and she told me that I was being a big wuss pussy, and I was actually having real rough time with my boyfriend. Absolutely embarrassing her at the hospital. So the second time I went, she went actually under investigation, and babies aren't delivered at this hospital anymore after my baby was delivered, and she circumcised him in this illegal clinic that I went to. She actually had her fingers in me while she was on speakerphone with the pharmacist trying to get me medication. The pharmacist said, "Are you busy?" And she said, "No, I'm not even with anyone right now." Her fingers inside of me. I'm so angry. Anyways, I can't find a lawyer. We've gone all the way from Edmonton to Calgary, and it's either not, it's civil and it's not their case, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I got a new doctor. The doctor laughed his ass off when he thought that when I said me and my son have autism and we'd like to be checked out, he laughed. So I had to report him, and we got the next doctor. And yes, my son has very mild autism. It's not something that defines him, but it's still something that was really important for his entire mental development because he wasn't talking. Now, after this, we have a new doctor. We're moving on. We're trying to. It turns out that she got 9 months paid leave, $1,500 worth of tickets, and she's actually abused animals as a veterinary clinic work as well. And since then, we tried to get a big black dog because someone set our dumpster on fire and tried to exploit it after people keep robbing the thrift store back here because they always have goods in the dumpster and people are on drugs out here. So they broke into our house at 2:30 in the morning and came into my room where my husband was sleeping in his underwear and couldn't find his glasses, and our phones were dead, and we had to call the cops, and then the cops didn't come because the RCMP said they were pretty sure they knew who she was and they didn't think she was very threatening. She scared the shit out of my dog, and so did her meth head or whatever the F boyfriend guy she was with, to the point at which I had to rehouse this brand new dog. I've never had a dog, and I had this dog, and I was never going to give her up, and I had to give her up. And it kills me. And I couldn't go to the vet because she worked as the vet. And then now, since those guys have broken in, the RCMP dropped charges for me, and then they had to call and apologize because they're the ones who dropped charges and they weren't allowed to. I wish that was everything.